Well, I don't know how bright the future is for AEW with more television programs like this last Wednesday's. Let's get to their segment of the program before we talk about the WWE, which may have produced the program of the week Friday night. But anyway, God almighty. If you liked something on this Wednesday night's AEW, you got some of it. And if you didn't like something, you got plenty of that too. And what did you, let me let you start, because you're the person experienced in the bar mitzvahs. I will defer to your experience. I loved the MJF cocky, dressed up, smart ass, borscht belt insult comment, pissing all over, Winnipeg, fucking not the screaming mad, red-faced, wanting to kill everybody MJF. I love the smart ass, but what is there significance to the chair and the people spitting him with the chair and I got lost.
Well, that is something we do at bar mitzvahs, yes, and obviously
that is done.
Been to bar mitzvahs, you wouldn't know that.
But I've never been to a Christian mitzvah either. I don't know what they do either.
I don't think they do that.
Birthdays.
I don't think they do that.
I had cake. I don't fucking know.
But let me just say to start, because I've seen a lot of pictures in the last week of MJF's bar mitzvah and different dancers, and people said, wow, look at this. Hey, I had dancers too, and I'm also the only Jewish kid I know of that had a square off with a Nazi wrestler at his bar mitzvah. So I am still the wrestling bar mitzvah champion of all time, period.
No, because you suffered the eternal shame of your parents wanting to do you a favor and not having any concept of who the personalities in wrestling were and weren't, and you ended up with Shitstain.
I've got the best story. Shitstain showed up with a Nazi wrestler at a bar mitzvah. A Jewish kid at a showdown with a Nazi wrestler. I'm the greatest of all time. Let's talk about this segment. There's a lot to talk about here. I will say, early on, I was a little conflicted with it because, and MJF, I think, did a good job and made me feel a little bit more at ease. There's been such a spike in anti-Semitism just recently. I mean, it's never gone away. It's always there, but recently it's gotten bad. So as a Jewish man, I worry sometimes when you have a heel using Judaism possibly as a heat mechanism, because I think that could backfire quick. I mean, they were in Canada. If they were in Alabama or Tennessee, I don't know if this would have gone over the same way. I get
what is the Jewish population of Canada?
I don't know, but I'm sure it's more than probably in the South, if I had to guess. I don't know about Winnipeg versus Toronto or anything, but there's plenty of Jewish people up there. But that was the only thing that gave me
I thought they were all pescatarians in Canada.
But that's the thing that gave me a little bit of pause, was the idea of putting some of that out there, because I think right now it's a little dangerous. Right now, it's not, I don't want him to be a heel because he's Jewish.
Well, no, but let me ask you this then. Did you take it, is it almost like the I don't know, Jewish version of the inside promo where if you know, it, if you don't, is he Archie bunkering this with the, when he say, oh, we're the chosen people, come on. Is that for equal response from the people who are with it and laughing because it's a quick line, but for the people who are anti-Semitic, there you motherfucker, is it one of those double whammies?
I don't know. See, I think the way he delivered that line actually worked, and that was one of the things that put me
no, that's what I'm saying. Does it work for he's Archie bunkering it and making fun of the prejudice, whatever it may be.
I mean, I got nervous just the idea of using the bar mitzvah as a segment, which I assumed would be a segment that would, I didn't know in advance. It would either have some kind of heat-seeking moment or something would happen there. It does make me nervous. Again, we're in a very interesting time right now in world history and here in America with anti-Semitism. But with that said, I actually was put at ease by it. From what I understand, because I asked around, the people in the ring with MJF were actual members of the Winnipeg Jewish community. So they actually went out and got real people who go to shul, go to the temples, go to the synagogues, and got them involved in it. So I did like that.
Well, see, now you've spoiled it for me because I thought it was the fucking group of nerds that he used to really hang around with when he was a teenager.
They wouldn't fly. Well, Tony would fly them to Canada. I was about to say they wouldn't fly all those people to Canada. Yes,
money is no object. He's like, I got 8 nerds. Come on, give me 8 nerds from New York.
And I thought that was really cool. And the fact that the room reacted the way they did to the, I guess we'll call it the bar mitzvah celebration, the going in a circle and lifting them up in a chair, which is part of the tradition, that was kind of cool. And the issues I thought I may have, they kind of were put away right away. I thought MJF was fantastic in this. I don't know how much you want me to go into the whole thing right now, just my initial thoughts, or what are you looking for here?
Well, I mean, what are you looking for? I'm looking for you to get off those drugs is what I'm looking to get my fucking calm co-host back. What are you looking for here? Like Kramer when he was on the fucking coffee. Here's as a completely non-religious person and beholden to no particular persuasion either way, my critique of this was that there's people involved in it that didn't need to be, because they had something here and they cluttered it up. As I said, I love MJF, the stuck-up prick MJF, the wisecracking, the I'm better than you and you know it, the fucking quick guy, the, good-looking Don Rickles, however you want to fucking say it. He's in charge of the room. He's got the models. They're kissing him on the cheek. He's making out with one. He's not admitting his shortcomings in life to the people so they can laugh at him, take heat off himself. He's not acting like someone has pushed him to the goddamn brink of insanity so mad, right? Because that's when he loses control and gives it to the people.
This was the best I think we've seen from MJF on the mic and in terms of presence in a while, because he didn't show weakness. And even with the guys in the ring, he didn't let anything go. He would hit them back with lines. There was no running away MJF here.
But he showed weakness in the way he should have, which was when and I'll reveal this before we get into the start of it, when he popped the hat and the glasses off and the fucking black and swollen eyes from that chain match, as they used to say when I got into business. Well, it's good for the business, kid. It's good for people to see that. And that was a place, and when Darby Allin, which we'll get to in a second, hit him with the, geez, Max, you look like shit. That was fucking great. But here's the problem. So MJF comes down. He does the whole bar mitzvah celebration. And he's basically saying, I'm the best and there's nobody in my caliber. And all of a sudden, Jungle Boy music. And here comes Jungle Boy. And he strolls down looking like Marco Stunt's homeless older brother. And then before anything happens, there's Sammy Guevara music. And he comes down looking like Sammy Guevara. And then Darby Allin music. And here he comes. And did you hear they popped for the other guys. They popped for Jungle Boy. They mixed for Sammy because he's a heel. Darby got the response. And when he came down, he looks like somebody, even though he's the smallest one of the bunch. And one of them got in each corner. MJF's in one, the other 3. And he said, oh, God, what do you want? And they all at the same time say, I want a title match, which was cute. But Jungle Boy does his promo. And for him, it was great. But I think the jury is in, and he can't do a money promo with any feeling whatsoever.
He has no feeling in anything he does. I mean, that's the big takeaway. He has a great hairdo. And he's got a great name, but he never shows any passion in anything.
He's reading off the screen in his mind these heartfelt words that he's uttering. It's good material, but he ain't there. It's like listening to one of those animatronic, yes, we will do that. So anyway, he's where he's going to stay. And Sammy, I don't think anybody can argue, is not in his current presentation or the way he's been presented over the last several months in the singles world title picture. They're doing this because that's the 4 pillars, right?
Yeah.
That Tony and his most intimate circle of nerd fans decided were going to be the 4 guys that were the future of this company 3 years ago.
Well,
go ahead.
I want to stop. We'll keep going about all of this, but I want to specifically talk about Sammy, because I actually thought, for me, one of the big takeaways here was I thought Darby was great because Darby has he's an interesting guy and he has an interesting way of talking. People react to it. Sammy and MJF to me was the energy because we never get to see Sammy like this. Sammy has been, and he basically said it here. A lot of what they were saying, was kind of that line of say what's real, but don't go all the way.
Yeah.
He has been the job guy for the Jericho Association. He has been Jericho's bump guy. And Sammy showed more here than he has in anything he's done in as long as I could remember, because he was on his own and he was confronting another young wrestler. I really like the stuff with Sammy here. And to me, that pointed to how badly Sammy's probably been misused.
That's what I was going to say. Because Sammy did a good job here, but the picture is muddled and all over the page.
Yeah.
Because he's been, and did say that, tell the truth. He's been presented as the Jericho job guy and a blah, blah, blah. And he has. But also, Sammy's presentation at the first, the people started loving him because he was a babyface and he did all the high risk, shit. Then they started finding out that he was really kind of a dick and they got mad at him. Well, then because he's got the slappable face, then he was a good heel, but he was in the group where he wasn't the top guy. And then in this promo, he's doing a great babyface promo, even though he's been presented as a shit fucking heel for all this time. But then he remembered in this promo to still say, but you people in Canada still suck, boo, but...
Yeah, that was right after he had basically done a babyface promo there.
Yes. So that's what I'm saying. Nobody looks at him right now as a serious challenger for the world title because of the way he's been presented. He's been a babyface. He's been a heel. He's been the flunky. The people have liked him, and then they've kind of not liked him because he left his girlfriend, whatever the fuck. And this was a babyface and heel promo at the same time, even though it was a well-recited modern promo about how hard he worked on the indies. We know he can talk when you give him something. And if you could calm him down and he'd take direction, he can work too. So they ought to take this meaning him doing a good promo as to mean we ought to seriously sit down, repackage and rehabilitate him and start pushing him. And maybe in 6 months, he might deserve to be in the ring with the world champion talking about wanting a title match. It's the problem of the presentation has been all over the fucking page. And that's why I said that there was too many people in this, because the magic they got was Darby Allin, Mr. Monotone, Dr. Dullard, goofy jump over the fucking moon guy, suddenly just jumps up and cuts the best promo on the fucking show.
How great was the line where he said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go whine on Twitter.
Yeah.
He was great here.
But no, he laid the whole thing out. He aligned himself with AEW and the fans, made himself one of them, talked about the other guys who just want to whine on Twitter about their push. Well, I'm damn happy to be here, and I want to be here. I dropped out of film school when they wanted me to change my movie, and now I came here because I'm not going to change a goddamn. He's telling them the fans, everything they want to hear. He's making himself the underdog, one of them.
One of the other things he's doing is he's one of the very few people on the mic on this show recently that's actually putting over AEW. I wanted to be here because they were going to treat me well. Everyone else is, I wish I could have gone somewhere else. I'm going to go somewhere else. With him, it was putting over the company.
But he delivered. He got to people with him, and he had fired up, and he showed emotion. What they ought to have done in hindsight, and I know that it surprised me, Darby Allin did not, it was not on my bingo card or whatever, as they say, to cut the great babyface promo of the show. But they should have, in hindsight, had MJF out there and had Darby be the one to come straight out and just cut to the meat of the matter, because you might have some money there. With the way that they interacted, with the way that he got to people behind him, Jungle Boy is blah. Sammy's a heel, so and he's not ready anyway. Darby fired up for himself and rose to the occasion here. And that's when MJF had pulled the hat and glasses off and then realized that he had revealed his beat up face and tried to put them back on and told them all to get the, fuck out of it. Didn't say fuck, obviously, after what he said here in a minute, but tells him get out of his ring so he can have his cake. Thank you. Screw you. Bye. Moxley says fuck indiscriminately. I'm sure he doesn't ask permission. But anyway, when he does that, he gets in a fight, and of course he gets knocked down, and then Sammy starts scuffling with, I think it was Jungle Boy, whoever the fuck, but anyway, MJF gets knocked off the apron of the ring, off onto the table, threw his cake on the floor, and ends up with the cake in the face, and that was the perfect way to do that because, yes, you can humiliate the heel. And it was actually accidental the way they did it, so he wasn't like a sucker just having it done to him. But you humiliate the heel in that environment, and that just makes him want to come back and get even. I think that if all the attention had been on Darby, and he'd been the one to put him in the cake, and he'd said exactly what he did, and the other two weren't involved, you would have set up your pay-per-view main event for the next time they have a pay-per-view. I love that. Without the other two.
I mean, there's a lot going on here. And let me just say, I like the segment, and we could talk about just the overall reaction people had to the segment, but I guess, not to disagree with you, although I liked Sammy and MJF almost as much, or probably more than Darby and MJF here. It was intriguing more. These two personalities, what happens if they have a problem? But I think if you're going to do anything with the idea you have these four pillars, which is, again, a company line, it's something they have talked about, but it's probably, right now is probably the time to do something if you're going to. Punk's not back yet. A lot of the main eventers are tied up in trios matches. If there was ever a time to make a concerted effort to try to elevate one of these guys to get to MJF's level, because he's at another level from all of them, right now is probably the time. Now, I thought Darby was good. I thought Sammy was good. Jungle Boy got a big pop. I heard from people in the room that they were really listening to him. But if you listen to him, he's horrible on the mic. Yeah. He comes across as unbelievable and passionless. Like sometimes you wonder why is this guy in wrestling? Does he like it? Like when you listen to him talk. I don't get Jungle Boy at all, or Jungle Man, whatever he is now. But the idea of MJF doing something with Darby is intriguing. They had an excellent match, the best match of the pay-per-view, whatever it was, a year and a half ago, and nothing since. Darby, you want to talk about booking malpractice, look at the way Darby's been used over the last year. You saw the reaction he got there. He is a special performer. You wouldn't know that if you watch week in and week out because he's barely on the show. Sammy has been used horribly, going back to the TNT title with Scorpio Sky, and then back into the Jericho group. If there's a way to do something different with those two guys, Darby and Sammy, right now, and even Jungle Boy, because if you're going to go for it, right now's the time. Right now's the time to do it. I have other thoughts about the segment, but let me hit you with that, see what you think.
Again, I think they should do something with Sammy. I think it's too early to just jump him from, where he's been to, boom, I'm in the world title picture. I think there's more middle there. I think Darby's, as you said, underused lately. And if you can control him from paralyzing himself, as we've talked about, what a fucking underdog. And if he can talk like that, if he channeled that and he can do that some more, I think, he's the guy. Jungle Boy, I'm just, bleh. He's a good young middle card baby face if he's got a veteran to lead him and have a match that makes sense. And I'm sure the girls like him, but I don't see him as a top guy because he's got, like you said, it doesn't look like he wants to do. He probably wants to do the moves. He just doesn't want to actually do what everybody that got into wrestling 40 years ago wanted to do, which was fucking tell people off and make money.
I don't buy anything he says on the mic. Nothing ever comes across as genuine. But I wanted to ask you about the overall segment because I liked it. I liked it a lot. I thought this is the best MJF thing in a while. I thought we got to see him shine the way he should. The interplay with other people without being a coward or anything. I think this is the best we've seen from, I mean, we don't really see Darby that much, but Darby was good here. Sammy was good here. We talked about Jungle Boy. It was something. It started the show. I saw some criticism, and it was along the lines of, this was a WWE show opening. Do you think that's legitimate? Do you think that's a problem? Do you think that's, what do you think when you hear that?
I swear to God, I didn't even know you were going to say that. And I was going to say, at least it wasn't like fucking Raw or SmackDown where we got 5 minutes entrances and boring scripted fucking monologues that could have been delivered whether the other people were in the ring or not. At least everybody was talking to everybody and it got to the fucking points and they had some witty lines and it sounded like them, even if in Jungle Boy's case, him is boring. No, I don't see that like a WWE segment at all because, again, this was 20 minutes, but they kept it moving. Besides MJF can carry the thing and the bar mitzvah and the whole 9 yards. There was falderall there, but when they got to in the ring, everybody moved their part along and MJF jumped in the middle to keep things going. I didn't get bored except with Jungle Boy. And then, like you said, I listened to him as good material, but then everybody else, no, I didn't see it like the WWE because that would have been overly written and overly scripted and overly dramatic and wouldn't have sounded like real people arguing with each other, which this kind of did, especially with Darby.
Yeah, you see, and Darby and MJF were able to go back and forth a little bit. Sammy and MJF, again, I like that energy because that was like, okay, I'm going to hit you with something about you getting engaged to women. I'm going to hit you with something about your fiance leave. There was something there.
You can't go back and forth with Jungle Boy because if you say something to him that you didn't go over in the back, he'll freeze up like he just stared at the fucking Medusa.
But also, what was his argument? His argument was, you think you're such a big star, you don't even appear on Dark and Rampage. Yeah. You do whatever you want around here. And he's like, yeah, that's absolutely true. I am a bigger star than you and everyone else here. It was a weird argument he had.
Well, because, that for boring people, he's representing the boring audience out there, the boring clientele.
All the wrestlers in the back that bust their ass. Tell them to learn how to do a promo and have matches that people care about.
Yeah. Anyway, moving along, because for once the first match started at 25 minutes into the program on AEW. So in that way, it was like Raw, except the first segment was good. But then we get a 6-man tag team match with the BBC against Hangnail, and the original Dorks are back. Pizzeria Uno and his old partner, Stu Grayson.
He got signed again after this. They announced he's once again all elite.
He's once again going to be there and do the same shit he did before. At least he looks like an athlete instead of his fat partner. But again, there's Evil Uno and Stu Grayson. That sounds like lawnmower repair and tax service. What the fuck? So anyway, I couldn't take this seriously because it's indie wrestling on national television when you got Wheeler Useless and Fat Uno starting the match. And they went through a break and they did some more shit. And finally, Moxley and Hangnail got face to face and got into their fight. And then behind the referee's back, and I'm talking like literally about 5 feet behind his back, like they couldn't see it, Useless comes from out of nowhere and hits Page over the head with the ring bell. So they're full heels now. They're just fucking up everybody. The BBC, that is. And Hangnail sells out onto the floor, and then they 3-on-2'd Fat Ass and Stu. And finally, Moxley choked out Stu. So again, especially if they're going to sign this fucking guy back, they just beat the fucking guy that does at least look like an athlete. And if he didn't have the stupidest gimmick in the world where his name sounds like a goddamn, middle school volleyball coach, but he paints himself up like who was that fucking Braveheart or whatever, and he's partners with some fat guy with a fucking shark mask on. Presentation is rotten, but he's an athlete and he can do some shit, so let's choke him out the first day we sign him. And we don't beat the fat fucking guy whose man boobs look like two possums fighting in a fucking burlap sack running across the ring. And then the BBC got heat on everybody. And until Little Brutus and his partner Houdat, it came out and made the save, and then the heels just left because apparently they'd gotten tired of drinking bones and eating blood. Your thoughts?
Not a big fan of any of these people, but with that said, I thought Stu Grayson looked really good in there. I'm not bothered like you are by Pizza Uno being big and fat. I like having big fat people on my wrestling show. I think we need more fat people on wrestling, quite frankly.
Okay, but here's the problem. He's not big and fat. He's little and fat. He's not big and fat like fucking Abdullah the Butcher or King Kong Bundy or goddamn Crusher Blackwell or Bronson Reed. He's just a fucking nondescript, middle-aged, pudgy, fat fucking guy in a goofy-looking mask.
Well, like I said, I don't have a problem having fat people on my wrestling show. I think we need more people who are overweight in wrestling instead of everyone just being in shape or somewhat in shape.
Would you run from this guy? Would you run from Bronson Reed? Let's say Bronson Reed's pissed at you. He's coming towards you. Are you taking off?
I'm not running from anyone. I got a machete. I'm not worried about a single human being on the planet. Let's say that
somehow you got caught outside with Swami and you got to protect him and you're machete-less. Which one would you think about running from first, Bronson Reed or Fat Uno?
I'd run towards Uno.
Okay, well, that's a good answer too.
I think in general, though, again, they have not ended Page and Moxley. This is a continuation of that. I don't think everyone knows what we think. I don't know if the average AEW fan wants more of this. I don't know if the average AEW fan has said, give me more Dark Order. I don't think that's something they desire. Moxley, the AEW fans by and large do like. At least Yuta's kind of healing it up now because nothing else has really been working with him.
Well, but so is Moxley too, because he puts the choke on, he chokes him out, then he puts the choke back on, he won't let it go. The referee's they're beating each other or beating their opponents over the head with ring bells. So isn't Moxley a heel?
He is.
They're cheering him.
And then Claudio just means less to me today than he has at any other point in AEW. I just think they've not done anything really with him to make him stand out other than being
Remember Moxley's the smiling guy that came in, but smiling the Swissman until you pissed him off, and then he was a badass, and boy, howdy, the sky's the limit here until now he's wishy-washy. I was a babyface till Moxley decided we were going to be heels, and now I'll just beat people up like a heel like Moxley does.
See, what happened is this week they had a really, really hot crowd. They were in a sold-out room in Winnipeg, and, Jace Nakarado was there. He told me a hot crowd. This was a crowd that wanted wrestling. And I think because of that, if this exact show was in another place, you probably would have seen a different reaction to this Dark Order match. People were into it a little more because of the hot crowd, but I think with or without Stu Grayson's return, people are just done with the Dark Order. It's been forever. It's been since the beginning of AEW. They've been around almost as long as the video game has been worked on. They've been on the roster, the Dark Order. So I don't think anyone wants to see
is this going to be the standard of measurement now going forward? When we get the video game, are we going to cut it in half and count its rings?
I like
to
that.
Determine how long it took to.
That's a good idea. We could do that. But I don't think this match did much for me. I don't think this match did much for too many other people. And again, you're coming off an opening segment with arguably, this is something that people would debate, the biggest star in the company and your world champion in an attempt to elevate three other people to another level. Whether it works or not, time will tell. But to follow that up with, and I know it's the first match on the show, but I'm going to say it this way, yet another 6-man tag match. The format of the show and everything they're doing with the show is they're not doing a good job of making you want to stay with the show. And we'll talk about the ratings later, but I did not like this match too much.
Well, then we'll skip to the next match, which I'm sure you loved because it was your girl, Jane Cargill, beating up Nicole Matthews in a stellar contest that I managed to avoid completely. But at the finish of it, or after the finish of it, here comes Taya Valkyrie. And people had thought, oh, she's going to be the surprise Canadian challenger. And instead it was Nicole Matthews from fucking Winnipeg, I guess. I don't know. But at least Taya comes out. She comes face to face with Jane. She looks great. They jaw jack a little bit. She gives Layla Gray, who's the stooge, the baddie now for Jane, she gives her Jane's faceplant finish. I didn't understand why Jane walked out of the ring and then looked back and saw Taya Valkyrie give her friend and stooge her own finish and was laughing at her. Didn't seem to mind. But thankfully, I've always been a fan from what I've seen of Taya Valkyrie shit. She got a Raw deal as Frankie Monet in NXT when she was interesting there for about a month until whatever the fuck they did. She's not one of these girls that seems like she tries to do shit she can't do. She looks great. She can talk. And, and she's got some experience. So let's see how many weeks it takes them to screw this up now. To be honest with you, I don't know what this fucking win streak is for unless they think Mildred Burke's coming back from the dead. What kind of level female star do they have to sign to not come in and just beat Jane? It's, 54-0 or whatever, and it's been 3 years?
It's like they have two different women's divisions. There's the women's division with Jade Cargill, and then there's everyone else. She does her own thing over here, and then everyone else is running around, bopping around, doing nothing. The match was fine for what it was. It was a squash win. I will say, Layla Gray is one of the best-looking women in all of wrestling. There's got to be a better way to use her. Because she has personality and charisma, and she's really good-looking. But they use her like this. Taya Valkyrie, again, I'm not going to judge her as a wrestler or anything here. We didn't see her do anything. They announced she's going to be on Rampage. What a debut that is.
Oh, geez, I didn't even actually hear that.
But at this point, again, I know I'm in the minority, although it's a growing minority. Investing more money in this women's division just doesn't seem like a wise move. Nothing is working. Every segment that's part of the women's division, the only ones that you could say, are different are Jade's, actually. Every segment is terrible.
Well, because Jade's are only, a 1 minute match and pose. Yeah. Usually. But here, that's what I'm saying. What is the win streak for? What level of star do they have to sign to come in and just beat her?
Yeah, who's going to get over by beating Jade? Because no one on the roster is the right person right now. You would agree with that, right?
Yes, and that's why I thought, to be quite honest with you, what would have happened if she'd have been in the ring and said there's no woman from Canada that can beat me, and Taya Valkyrie's from Canada, and out she comes and she beats her. What would that have harmed if business-wise for AEW or Jane Cargill? Then she'd be 54-1.
But again,
and then you'd have started a program.
You know who Taya Valkyrie is. I think by and large wrestling fans don't, unless you're a hardcore fan.
That's the point.
And you have these commentators, and we can talk about that later, who are just doing an abysmal job. For as bad as Shivani is, and Shivani is as useless as you could possibly be as a commentator on a major show, Excalibur is beyond awful. I know there's fans out there that like him because he calls all the moves. If you think Excalibur and his style of commentary is conducive to getting people to pay attention to the show, listen to the show, and not tune out the show, you're missing the point. He is as counterproductive a lead commentator as there's ever been. So now you have these goofs on commentary who have to explain how this woman, who we've never seen before on this show, who if you watch major wrestling on a national basis, you may have seen with a different name on NXT. All of a sudden she comes out, she has an entrance. We're told, oh my God, here she is. You'll see her on Rampage. That's it. None of this made any sense. This was horrible.
That's what I'm saying. And they don't have to be able, the announcers don't have to be able to get the new talent over if the new talent is allowed to get over. And that's what I'm saying. And it's the same thing that Dusty Rhodes did with the Rock and Roll Express when he brought him to work for Jim Crockett. Even and I know people, many of them were not alive when everybody didn't know who the Rock and Roll Express was, but the people in Louisiana had seen them and the Mid-South territory, but the Carolinas hadn't. And the Russians, Ivan Koloff and Crusher Khrushchev and Nikita Koloff, whichever pairing of the three of them, had been dominant world tag team champions and undefeated. And the Rock and Roll come in and get a title match with them the first night. They beat them. And the people went crazy. Now, of course, they had a great match for 15 minutes or whatever. But in this case, if you'd have brought Taya Valkyrie out, accepted the Canadian challenge, the announcers obviously should know who she is because she's supposed to be somebody. But they were, my God, has she signed with AEW? We didn't even know she was here, that kind of thing. Holy mackerel. And do a 2-minute flurry, if that, and have Taya faceplant that fucking Jane Cargill 1, 2, 3 and roll out and get her hand up on the floor and leave the ring to Jane and her baddie to bitch. And you've made a new female fucking star, and you didn't do a goddamn thing to hinder the Cargill reputation, because all she's doing now every week is just beating up fucking job girls anyway. Then you might actually have a money-drawing women's match that you could put on a next pay-per-view or ratings for television or whatever with Jane and Taya in a rematch and give them more time, or what? Maybe that might be counterproductive, but maybe Taya could get Jane through it. Whatever the case, but make something out of it. Is she just going to come out and beat? Is it going to be 100-0? This is not Goldberg. Nobody's buying a ticket to see this. Nobody's tuning in the show to see if Jane Cargill beats Nicole Matthews this week.
Yeah, no, instead they have someone show up who's never been there before, and the announcers fawn over her like we're supposed to have any idea what the hell they're talking about. Oh my God, it's Taya Valkyrie all over the world. Oh yeah, this is great. This is so great. I'm so happy to be here. It's the worst. I'm serious. The commentary on this show, and I hate to put Taz down because I like Taz, but I think Taz is someone that he has to be with the right people. Otherwise, it turns into too much of a goof show. But Shivani and Excalibur together are as counterproductive a lead commentary team as you could possibly have. And I know it's going to flip people out who love Excalibur. He is the single most counterproductive lead commentator, even more than Michael Cole in all of wrestling. And I think that's something AEW probably down the road should address. You need lead commentators on these shows that fans actually want to hear, because we've actually been seeing more and more feedback recently from people like, oh, I watched AEW with my wife or girlfriend, whatever. I forget what the email was I saw the other day. And they immediately had a problem with the commentator. Why is he talking like that? It's a geek. It's a geek.
We've been asking that for 4 years. It's the geek basement audience that used to do commentary over their VHSs and later their DVDs.
It's a talentless, soft geek doing the same geeky shit that he did for Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, which matters nothing to the wide world of wrestling.
Well, you know what, then? Now you've got me, Brian. I'm so morose over Taya Valkyrie's chances of coming in here and making a difference. Maybe instead of AEW, she should get out of wrestling and start a small business.
Small business? Like what?
Well, any kind, there's dozens and hundreds, even thousands of small businesses around the country that you would never hear about and never see their products if it weren't for our friends at Box of Awesome. And so now if Taya Valkyrie was to start one of these small businesses, that the Box of Awesome people go around and they pick things and they curate collections to give to their customers. Somebody could see Taya Valkyrie's products and she could be propelled into the upper echelon of the business world. She could be right up there with Beyonce and all the business dealings that she does, the fashion lines and the perfume and old Paris Hilton. Didn't she have some kind of imitation stank she was selling?
I don't know. Maybe.
Well, whatever it is, well, if Taya Valkyrie made something, I'm sure the people at Box of Awesome would love to put it in their box. Because that's one of the cool things, folks, about signing up for this unique opportunity from our friends at Bespoke Post is the monthly arrival of your Box of Awesome. Whatever's in the box, it's going to be awesome because you picked what you like. What you do is you go to boxofawesome.com and you take the quiz because they want to know what you're interested in. And then you get suggestions and you come up with boxes. I mean, they've got I got the Weekender, right? The incredible travel bag with the metal hardware, the reinforced frame, the quality leather handles and straps. It's fashioned after an old stonemason's tool bag. And I'm carrying my tool bags in it. And they've got knives, they've got barbecue rubs, they've got hot sauces, they've got all kinds of items for all kinds of interests. And when you get this box, each box valued at around $70, you pay a fraction of that, a minute portion, a little sliver, just a drava, and you're supporting all the small businesses because 90% of everything that comes into your box or in your box to you, I guess it wouldn't come into your box. Well, they do put the things in your box.
But it arrives to you in the box.
If you'd like some of these things inserted in your box, then 90% of it's from a small up-and-coming brand. And it's free to sign up for. You can skip a month. You can cancel anytime. What you do, you go to boxofawesome.com. Like I said, take the quiz and enter the code DRIVE at checkout. And you're going to save 20% off your first monthly box. Boxofawesome.com, code DRIVE for 20% off your first box. And I mean, look at the hot sauces. They got Texas hot sauce, Nevada hot sauce, California hot sauce. They've got the American barbecue rub in the carnivore box. See, that's the genre, the carnivore. If you're a carnivore, you like to eat meat, so you need barbecue rub.
If I could say one thing, I've noticed one thing that we've recently seen. We have a growing female audience, surprisingly, with these shows. And Suzanne actually now gets a Box of Awesome. So this is something not just for men. There's lots of good things for women, too.
Well, what's in Suzanne's box?
Mind your business.
Hey! I mean, is that frilly and lacy things?
How dare you?
Well, I'm sure it's tailored to a female perspective somehow.
That's right.
So it's probably some motor oil to change the fucking oil in the car with.
Well, she got
what
some
you've
cool
usually
stuff.
Got her doing.
No, she's got some cool stuff. There was some stuff for her desk. Of course, she has a nice knife now as part of her collection. But
watch out for that. Don't go to sleep.
She likes that Weekender bag. I will say that.
Yeah, she likes it, especially if you're not there for the weekend.
Hey,
I remember the last time that you came home and said, honey, you know what we got to do? We got to go out tonight on the town. We got to get drunk. We got to whoop it up. And she said, that sounds great. You said, good. Where are you going? But anyway, boxofawesome.com. Use the code DRIVE at checkout for 20% off your first box of awesome there at the .com.
At the .com.
Alrighty.
At the .com?
At the .com.
Box of Awesome.
Okay. So, continuing on with AEW. Jesus Christ. The thing with QT Marshall doing a TMZ parody, QTV, where he plays whoever the fuck was the head guy on TMZ and his jobber crew plays the Stooges on TMZ, and Hobbs is stuck. They put a belt on Hobbs to make Hobbs a guy who sits around in the middle of a bunch of goofballs making bad jokes and admitting to crimes. They showed the video of Wardlow's car getting broke into. Of course, it was one of his stooges there, QT stooges. This was bad. This was phony. And Hobbs is stuck in the middle of it now. This is the way they're going to try to get this fucking guy over. Or under, as the case may be. Your thoughts?
You know, I just saw the other day on Twitter, QT Marshall had a bit of a meltdown and started going at it with one of the guys that I think owns a few wrestling websites over being criticized for being on the show. And we've seen QT going back to the beginning. And they've tried to do things with QT. At times they tried to do things with him and Cody. Of course, they had a working relationship from the Nightmare Factory. They put him with a Go-Go and Camarado and Solo. They did the thing where him and Dustin were teaming up and he was cheating on his wife with the bunny. Then his wife appeared on TV. Point is, they've done a lot of stuff with QT. Nothing has worked. And there's a reason for that. And I don't feel like happy saying this. I'm not going to be like the guy on Twitter fighting with QT. QT is a fine wrestler. And I'm sure he's a very good trainer. There's nothing that QT says or does that would cause anyone else to want to watch him. And to take someone who has been treated like a job guy joke since the beginning and give him this now, something new that is lame.
And now he's Hobbs' boss.
That is lame, that's poorly done, that's bad comedy, that's a takeoff of TMZ. Maybe this would have worked 15 years ago or 10 years ago, I don't know. And you take Hobbs, a guy that's finally getting something done for him, and you put him with QT. No one's going to take Hobbs seriously because he's with QT. I know that Tony likes QT personally, but that shouldn't justify using him on this show. And I'm not gleefully saying that, like, I don't have a personal problem with QT Marshall. This is just a fact. He shouldn't be used on this show, and especially in this way. You need singles stars. Hobbs, as much as anyone there, you could point to and say that's the potential. They never do right by him. And this is bad. I don't know if I heard from anyone in feedback that actually liked this segment or thought it was a good idea. This was yet another counterproductive segment for no good reason. Who wants QTV? There's no good reason for any of this.
And again, think of the trail of damaged booking that got at least to Hobbs winning the belt, and now he's in the middle of this mess.
And now QT's pretending like he's Harvey on TMZ. Who's this supposed to appeal to? Like, what is the audience for this kind of...
Harvey, I guess.
Maybe. I don't know. Bad stuff.
It'd be like when they parodied Don West on Saturday Night Live. Harvey will go, oh, look, they're parodying me.
Bad stuff. They had one... The opening segment was intriguing, and there was a lot of stuff there, but if you look at every single segment from that point on in the show, it's just nothing but reasons to scratch your head. Every single thing.
Well, some of those things on the top of their head look like they have lice, and that's where we get to our little dog pockets, because my week was ruined. I thought I had seen something, that there was some explanation, some way that they were going to make something out of this. But I will ask again. Same thing I asked with Jane's winning streak. If this whole thing of having Pockets win on television every week is not building up to him actually losing this phony made-up title that they've instituted to some legitimate talent and or star to do something real with, then what's the fucking point of doing this? If he's not going to ever lose this thing to somebody that they can move up the card into a spot where this championship would mean something, then again, now we're having to watch this fucking guy every week. It's like we had to see 7 weeks in a row of the fucking EVPs because he's the owner's favorite wrestler. And I thought Jeff, and I see now he's being a company man, but I thought Jeff had probably sold him on, okay, he's won 4 or 5 weeks in a row. So since I'm supposed to be helping out with your international events division, I can be the international champion. I'll beat him and get some fucking real heat and goddamn do something with this thing. But no. So it's still going to be a joke belt and they're not going to do anything with it apparently. But in the process, and I know this is going to light you up, Brian, if there's ever been anything approaching a good Orange Cassidy match, this was it. He did it. He managed to figure this fucking thing out. He didn't let the fucking clown do the shit that he normally does. He did shit to make fun of it and let the clown fire back for real. It looked, I've seen this going back 50 years. It looked at parts like Jerry Lawler having a match with a local radio DJ. He could get something out of anybody if you were ambulatory, not a paraplegic, and breathing. Lawler could have some kind of fucking match. Jeff almost did the same thing here. It made sense in its own way. It didn't make sense in terms of pockets being in it and visually ridiculous and etc. But Jeff, he knows how to get heat. He knows how to pace. He didn't do the same match that everybody always has with this guy. And he put some of the guy's stuff in it while trying to not make it, I guess, embarrassing. And he still managed to sell some for him like you would for, a guy that accidentally gets the advantage on a real athlete. Jeff got the sharpshooter on him, got some heat from the people in Canada. Jesus Pockets tried to reverse it. He couldn't, he didn't reverse it because he didn't know how, but he came up with some type of grip. And then Jeff did one of his fucking finishes where he took people on a fucking ride. He gets the figure four, Pockets fights out. They have the big 1-2 in the ring. Jeff throws the best punch in AEW. That's not surprising either. They bump the referee. Sanjay slides the guitar in. Here comes referee Aubrey Ed, power walking with a mean face. She's the star of our show. She takes the guitar. Pockets gets a schoolboy for a 2 count. Pockets gets the guitar. Zippy takes it away. Aubrey Ed kicks Sanjay and Zippy out of ringside. The original referee gets up. Pockets hits a DDT, but Jeff draws the referee while Lethal comes in and hits Pockets from behind with the Golden Globe. And Jeff gets cover in a 2 count. And here comes Muffin Top Taylor. No, it was Trent. Trent Cupcake. He comes down and nails Lethal, and they fought off. They just fought off. And then Jeff goes for the stroke, and I thought, well, here we go. We got something. And no, Pockets hits Roman Reigns' finish, 1, 2, 3. So he took him for a ride. The finish was laid out great. There was so much happening. He, except for the visual, Jeff led him through this thing to, but it proves that the chimpanzee can do the moves. But again, I ask, what is the point of this? Every week we have to look at this fucking guy. Every week he wins over, in some cases, legitimate talent. And he's never going to get any more over than he is right now. And he probably ain't as over as he used to be because it's old and it's over with. The joke has been told. He offers nothing to a mainstream audience or to boost their business. So if they're not going to beat him here, what level of talent does it take to bring in to beat this fucking guy?
Well, again, I'm not surprised. I don't know why you thought Jeff would win here. Jeff shouldn't, and look, I'm not an Orange Cassidy fan. I said it since the beginning. Jeff Jarrett shouldn't be on this show. It has been a step down to have the face of TNA and a guy who was overpushed for so many years on this show. So I think he has succeeded in having entertaining matches, but no one wants to see him.
But look at the fucking field. Look at he's now the best wrestler on the roster.
No, he's not. Come on, Jeff Jarrett.
The best in-ring performer right now. Who's better?
MJF's much better than Jeff Jarrett.
Okay, then we're comparing modern wrestling and execution of moves, and we're talking about psychology and experience and putting shit together and being able to work with anybody.
I think Jeff is good at that. I mean, that's the thing. I can't take away from him his ability in the ring. What I could say is I don't think people want to see that. And I'm not saying that he should be made the world champion. I'm saying he should be made the international champion because he can go out there and get heat with those fucking numb nuts or nitwits or whatever.
that don't understand that he is nimwits, that don't understand that he is the best wrestler on the fucking roster because he knows what he's fucking doing and the rest of them don't. He can go out there and he can talk. He could get a fucking secondary belt over and get heat because he has it, because he beat one of their indie darlings. And then you put him in the ring with some of these other indie-rific motherfuckers that don't have a goddamn clue of how to put a match together, and let him teach them. And then he can get the international belt to mean a little something, so a real good fucking babyface can beat him and get over by taking it off of him.
He comes out there with the goof troop, so right away you know that you can't take Jeff seriously.
Right away you get rid of Sanjay, and right away Zippy is fucking best not seen or heard. I agree with that. But if they've got this guy on the fucking roster, they should use him to best advantage instead of, again, having him be in another fucking parade of top talent or experienced talent or just good talent that puts over the fucking goof. Because the base audience likes the fucking goof.
I agree with you about the need to get things away from Orange Cassidy. And I think that he is one of the worst wrestlers in the company in terms of what I want. And people are going to go, oh, he could do the moves. Guess what? I've wrestled on my front lawn when I was a kid with my friends. I know how to kick out of lots of shit. To me, that's not what makes a wrestler. Just being able to kick out of stuff. So I agree with you on that. And I agree with you that if you put Jeff Jarrett, and we've seen it, if you put him in there with the Acclaimed, or a Top Flight or whatever, that is a way to use him that will hopefully lead to a lesson that will teach the wrestler he's in the ring with something they can do better next time. But I think if you put a belt on Jeff Jarrett, and if you feature him like that on this show,
well, he's the only one in the company that doesn't. He's the only one in the company that doesn't have a belt already.
Well, that's a different point altogether.
That's the point. Everybody's got a fucking... I'm just saying he would actually make something out of it. He would make people mad that he had it, rather than people not knowing or caring that everybody else has all the other belts.
I think if they went with what we've always seen, which is Jeff Jarrett getting a belt and then having to cheat each and every week and use the stupid guitar with balsa wood each and every week to hold that belt, it would be really counterproductive because people have seen this. You know, it'd be one thing if you said put him and Jay Lethal and do something with them as a tag team. That, I think, has more merit than putting a singles belt on Jeff right now, just because of the way I think people would react to it.
I'm just saying, anything's got to be better than this.
How long do you think they're going to go with this, with Orange Cassidy?
I don't. It already should have ended, but now I have no fucking idea.
But is it like 5 weeks in a row that he's been having these matches on this show? And it's like, you know, for me, it feels like the same match every time because I've seen the routine. How much longer can they do this?
Who's going to beat him now?
Jade.
Yeah, the Jade versus Pockets. Undefeated streak on the line. Holy shit.
To my point, though, about Jeff, do you think, considering where the tag team division is, and the people in it who need experience, don't you think that'd be a better way to use Jeff going forward? And again, if Jay's hurt, Jay's hurt. But him and Jay as a tag team.
Well, now is Jay hurt now?
Was he? He was out there with a sling, wasn't he?
Oh, goddamn. I just saw him run in and hit the fucking guy over the head with the Golden Globe.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I didn't pay close enough attention to the Orange Cassidy match. But if you have a Jeff Jarrett and a Jay Lethal, do you think it's better to have Jeff in singles competition and all of his group are out there? Or if you have those two as a team, and I'm not even saying you have to put them over.
Well, yes.
Everywhere.
No, I said last week that they ought to have Jeff and Lethal instead of that 4-way or 5-way or whatever the fuck it was. Have Jeff and Lethal work a program with the Acclaim just to fucking teach them how to have a tag team match. But since this week, Jeff's in a single, well, why can't he goddamn win that fucking thing? Just do something. We had to look at the EVPs and their self-indulgent fucking masturbation fantasies 2 months in a row on TV. We got to watch this fucking clown just because the owner dresses up for him or dresses up like him at Halloween. We got to watch him 6 weeks in a row. Let's do something with some of it. Something.
And get Sanjay out of there.
Yes, and calm his ass down severely. Speaking of having an ass calmed down, one of the girls got fined. Because the next segment was the in-ring interview with Saraya and Toni Storm and Ruby Soso. And they actually fined Saraya for saying the word twat. I didn't know that you could say fuck over and over on TBS like Jon Moxley has done, like some of the other talents have done. And just, well, that'd be just swell, but you could say twat and get fined.
Has anyone ever said twat on a wrestling show before?
I don't know. And the thing is, I would not have assumed that it was one of the banned words. It's used more often in the UK. And I think I probably use it because I've been around the wrestling business and there's a lot of people from England or Calgary in the wrestling business. But is that like pussy or the dreaded C word? Is that bad over there and across the pond? Or is it, did anybody even know what she really meant over here?
I think they knew because the fact that she got fined means that Tony heard it from someone else.
Well, but again, they've been saying fuck. Isn't fuck like the world heavyweight champion of cuss words? What, you know?
No. I think fuck and its cousin shit are kind of like the established brand. Like they were the top of the line, but now they've been there a while. But when you get a twat, that kind of rattles things because where did this come from?
I don't know. Well, like when we were reviewing the Sinclair Broadcasting standards, when I was doing Ring of Honor and we had to make sure we didn't air anything right, you couldn't shove something in somebody's ass, but you could call somebody an ass, or you could kick their ass, but you couldn't shove anything in their ass. This is legitimate. So I'm thinking that, sometimes like you can say bitch or you can say son of a bitch, but, you can't shove something in a son of a bitch's ass. I don't know. But one way or another, she got fined for saying twat. That was the takeaway from this. Otherwise, Hayter and Baker came in. They got in a big fight. The heels beat up the baby faces. Here came Riho and Willow and Sky Blue. And Riho was leading the charge with a lead pipe that, if it was real, would have weighed more than she does. And
it was the fakest looking pipe I've ever seen.
Oh my God. Here's this thing is half as tall as she is anyway. And it's a lead fucking pipe. And she just swinging it like a fucking baton. And then the heels left, and Saraya got fined for saying twat. And again, how many fucks have we heard, and now it's an issue?
Well, maybe that's actually the way things will be going forward. Let's see how many more fucks we hear on the show. Let's see if Moxley is still coming out there. I mean, the girls, when they came out there, were immediately flipping off the fans. We'll see if they say anything about that, but...
Well, Moxley flips everybody off every week.
Did you have any thoughts of this beyond the Twatgate?
No, because I didn't listen to it. Because I've already... Look here. Here's the thing. We started off with the best segment on the program. Then we saw the BBC. Then we saw Jane. Then we saw Pockets, and Jeff didn't beat him. So at this point, I'm waiting for this fucking thing to be over with.
This women's division is such a disaster. Everyone knows Saraya should never have been signed. It was a mistake. She does awful promos. She can't work a regular match. There are people there who, at least as of a few months ago, didn't want to work with her because of fears of hurting her in the ring. Ruby, to me, Ruby's promos are never good. And she, I think, is not very good in the ring. Tony's good in the ring, and now she's the third flunky in this group. Jamie Hayter's really good, and the fans got her over. They've botched what they've done with her and Britt. Britt's now just running out there.
Boy, yeah, Hayter, at one point, Baker versus Hayter would have actually, again, been a pay-per-view women's match they could have headlined with, and it not been a rib. And that's lost now.
Instead, they went with something where these three women are now the outcasts because things used to be better in AEW, and now I don't even know what they're trying to argue. This is so bad. The AEW women's division is so bad.
Every female talent that they have brought in over the last year that at their surprise debut or their first night, the people went crazy and cheered the fucking rafters off for them. Every single one of those is now a heel. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. It's terrible.
And they had to, because the people decided that first. They started not liking them before the fucking booking took them that way.
And for anyone who wants to compare the AEW women's division to WWE, that's bullshit.
Oh,
like, no, because I see that. Like, Tony should treat them the way WWE does. WWE has Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair and a bunch of people that if you ever want to make an argument for there being a legitimate women's wrestling company, they've got the talent. Don't compare AEW to them, because it's not fair at all.
Well, you know what else ain't fair? The goddamn six-man, not only did the main event feature the six-man tag team championship on the line, but it was a three-way six-man tag team title match. So that meant there were 9 of these assholes involved. The House of Black, the Jericho Appreciators, Jericho, Sammy, and of course, Daniel Garcia that we can't get away from, and the Buckaroos and Twinkle Toes. And they started this match. They had over 20 minutes of television time left. So obviously that meant that they were going to go out there and pretend that people give a shit about them and their crazy goddamn nonsensical wrestling for 20 minutes. So I fast forwarded to the finish. And apparently somewhere during the finish of this, the BBCs were still fighting with Little Brutus and Who Dat in the parking garage from the fact that they had been fighting an hour and 30 minutes or so previously.
Yes,
Did you catch that?
Segment 2, they started fighting.
Yeah, they got great cardio because they're still fighting an hour and a half later and they only made it to the fucking parking garage. I was going to try to describe the finish that they did, these 9 guys doing shit back and forth over and over for no apparent reason, but I can't. And the House of Black won 15 seconds before they went off the air. So they were, again, about as close as you could come to not even getting the finish on the fucking air.
Before we even talk about the match, because my DVR cut off at the very end, but I saw enough things on Twitter, so I was able to find out what happened. A lot of AEW fans who are really into the elite side of things, really happy that Hangman Page backed up by the elite. So they're teasing now that he's back with them.
Well, wait, hold on. Page wasn't involved in this.
Yes, he was. He came out at the end.
Did he?
Your DVR may have cut off before mine did. At the very end, Page comes out there still brawling with the Blackpool Combat folks.
Oh, I didn't see any of this.
Oh, yeah, no, they all come out into the arena. And then they go to the ring, and Moxley and Claudio and Yuta are about to confront Page in the ring, and all of a sudden Omega and the Bucks jump up to back up Page and not chase off, but make sure the Blackpool folks didn't jump in the ring.
Oh, good Lord.
So we're about to get more of this drama.
And I bet you they went over, because my DVR ends precisely at the top, so they went over because they can't manage their time. Well, I'm glad I didn't see that. Because that's bad news.
I believe this was for the self-indulgent championship of AEW, this match. What a shit show. And again, I know people really like the elite and their stuff, and, Jericho, he still has his fans, and the House of Black, I don't know who likes them. But this was just a silly match. Just a bunch of guys doing a bunch of things. It was hot in the house, because you had 2 people from Vancouver there. Or Winnipeg there, excuse me, not Vancouver, from Winnipeg there. But, does anyone really care about the trios division? And they're shoving it down everyone's throat. Everyone's in a 6-man tag team now. Not very good. On the positive side, Omega looks like he's doubling up on the human growth hormone. He looks a lot bigger than he has in a while, so maybe he's got something coming up. But who wants to see any of this? I think even the most hardcore AEW fan is sick of all of this.
And again, you're eating up multiple talents and multiple potential tag teams for the 6-man title, just so these guys can indulge themselves having these fucking goofy matches. And the people that are there, they're going to be there for it. They ain't going to get anybody else, but that horse may have left the barn already when they look at this program. Anyway, did anybody watch it this week?
It was indeed watched by people this week. This week's AEW ratings, Jim, the overall rating was 852,000 viewers.
Okay, I think last week they were at 8-something. The week before they were at 8-something. So have they settled into a groove here, or was it again an example of starting strong and petering out?
They've set into a groove because they've established a pattern. People ignore the fact that wrestling fans or fans of television shows will follow patterns. And it's a little hard to track sometimes because there are people that will watch things on YouTube or DVR after the fact. But if you are someone on a Wednesday night willing to watch live wrestling, they've established when you could tune out of the show. They've established who you don't have to care about. They've done things with the way they formatted the show, with the way the commentary handles things on that show, with who's featured and how they're featured, that you almost know when you could tune out and not miss anything. And I think that's what's happening here. Jim, the show opened 8 to 8:15 p.m., segment 1. MJF, Darby Allin, Jack Perry, and Sammy Guevara's live promo. 1,053,000 viewers.
So they've been starting there again over the past month or so. The Big Bang must be down, because they often were starting with 1.1, 1.2 million. We got to get to the root of this Big Bang thing.
I would like to see that, and I just want to mention also that this was compiled by Brandon Thurston at WrestleNomics. Segment 2, 8:15 to 8:30 p.m., the continuation of the Rebar Mitzvah, as well as the Blackpool Combat Club entrance, picture-in-picture, and then the Dark Order and Adam Page versus the Blackpool folks. 957,000 viewers.
Ouch. So, since the bar mitzvah, I remember, ended about 20 after. So that means that they had 10 more minutes of that quarter afterwards to lose people. And I don't know that anybody would have tuned out in the last 3 or 4 minutes of that in-ring promo. So apparently they saw the state of the rest of the program and where it was starting and decided they'd start bailing there.
By the time you're done with the first 20 minutes or so of the show, you've seen on the bottom of the screen what the rest of the show is going to be.
Yeah.
That's their chance to hook you. They don't do it. And I say what I think. People don't want to see the Dark Order and all this stuff. Let's see what the results are. Segment 3, 8:30 to 8:45 p.m. The Dark Order and Adam Page versus Blackpool Combat Club continued with picture-in-picture, as well as, and I like this, you didn't even mention this, the Juice Robinson promo.
Oh, geez. I didn't realize he was a wrestler. I thought it was some kind of candy bar commercial or something for a minute when I saw his face, and then I said, yeah.
I actually like his promo. He's a little different. I just wish they would do something that would actually show that, but I didn't mind that. But 839,000 viewers.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So they lost in 45 minutes 214,000 people?
I look at it more from segment 2 to segment 3 because we don't know what segment 1 is coming in at. Between segment 2 and segment 3, they showed enough people at home that they don't need to pay attention to this show that they didn't.
Whew.
Jim,
where do we go from here?
Segment 4, Jade Cargill versus Nicole Matthews, the Cargill Live promo and angle with Taya Valkyrie, Ricky Starks' backstage promo, Powerhouse Hobbs, and QTTV, 835,000 viewers.
Ooh, down another 4, but I guess be thankful for small favors.
Segment 5, 9 to 9:15 p.m., the 9 o'clock hour, Orange Cassidy versus Jeff Jarrett with picture-in-picture, 837,000 viewers.
Ouch. They picked up 2,000 at the top of the hour and with their little dog pockets.
Some consistency, though, between segments 3 and segment 5, right?
You got that. Yeah, 8:39, 8:35, and 8:37. Basically, it's people taking bathroom breaks at this point.
Segment 6, the House of Black video, the Acclaimed video, the live promo from the Outcasts, as well as the promo with Jamie Hayter, Britt Baker, Riho, Sky Blue, and Willow Nightingale.
Twatgate.
770,000 viewers.
Oh, boy. There goes another 67,000 into the ash heap of history.
Because no one's going to tune in to see the promo with the Outcasts, and anyone who pays attention would know this. Segment 7, the Matt Menard and Angelo Parker backstage promo.
See, I don't even bother I just zip through some of these because, good God.
Ray Phoenix's backstage promo. And the beginning of the House of Black versus the Jericho folks versus the Elite with picture-in-picture. 746,000 viewers.
Jesus Christ. And there goes another 24,000. We are now down 307,000 viewers from the start of the program.
And finally, segment 8, 9:45 to 10 p.m., the continuation of the 6-man tag team title match with picture-in-picture and the post-match angle with the Dark Order and the Blackpool friends. 779,000 viewers.
So what do you think? They got about 30 or 35,000 of them to just say, well, we'll drop out and come back for the last 15 minutes to see what happens.
And just a note here from the key demo, they began at 4:04, they ended at 3:23. So even when it comes to the key advertising demo, they're shedding fans.
Well, I mean, they can't, it would be statistically impossible with a loss like that to not lose from every demo. You wouldn't be able to, unless suddenly everybody over the age of 50 had a simultaneous fucking heart attack.
With live television, you need things to be there to cause people to need to see it live. MJF stuff, typically, I think people want to see live because you never know what's going to be said or what's going to happen. There are other people there you can say the same thing about. When Punk was there, same thing. With all of this other stuff, the women's angles and promos, the House of Black, the Dark Order, I hate to say it for those fans, even the Elite, Orange Cassidy, there's nothing with any of these people that causes a fan at home to say, I really need to see this now. And that's a problem. It's formatting. It's who's getting booked. It's how they're getting booked. The booking's bad. I hate to keep saying it because I actually feel bad for Tony Khan. But he's not good at this. And the results, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. It keeps coming out. They're hemorrhaging viewers, and it's their own fault because it's a bad show.
Why did I get a horrible visual when you mentioned hemorrhaging and pudding in the same sentence?
You know, I got this drain right here, and I got blood still coming out of it.
Oh, guys, hooty hoot, hooty hoot. You know what? After watching this program, I think we all need better help.